Today, I am going to tell you a true story. A story so shocking that many people find it hard to believe after hearing it. It leaves people surprised, disturbed, and deeply worried that such things could happen in the real world. This is a story where wealth, power, and exploitation were deeply connected. A story that challenges what many people believe about justice and influence. For an ordinary person, it may sound impossible, like something from a dark movie or hidden history. But this is not fiction. This is a bitter reality that the world has had to face.
Imagine a massive frozen land, covered in ice for thousands of years, suddenly becoming one of the most valuable places on Earth. What if the future of global power, advanced technology, and even military dominance could depend on what is hidden under that ice? Today, we are talking about Greenland, a land that many people once ignored, thinking it was only ice, snow, and small isolated communities. But now scientists, governments, and global superpowers are looking at this island very differently. As climate change slowly melts parts of the Arctic, something extraordinary is being revealed. Massive mineral deposits, new shipping routes, and one of the most strategic military locations on the planet. This is why powerful nations like the United States, China, and Russia are showing growing interest in this frozen territory. Officially, Greenland is still connected to Denmark, but global politics around it are becoming more intense every year. Beneath Greenland's ice are rare earth minerals that are essential for smartphones, electric cars, renewable energy systems, and advanced military technology. At the same time, its location between North America, Europe, and the Arctic Ocean makes it a perfect place for monitoring global military activity and controlling future Arctic shipping lanes. What makes this story even more powerful is that Greenland itself is standing at a crossroads between economic opportunity, environmental protection, and global political pressure. This is not just a story about land or minerals. This is a story about the future balance of world power, about how climate change is reshaping geopolitics, and about how one remote island could change the destiny of global economics, security, and technology in the coming decades. The story begins in Greenland, a place that for centuries was seen as a remote frozen island with very little global importance, covered mostly by ice, with a small population and harsh living conditions. It was never considered a center of global competition. But today, scientists, economists, and political leaders see it very differently. Beneath its ice sheet lie some of the world's most valuable, untapped natural resources. As climate change slowly melts parts of the ice, new areas of land are becoming accessible, revealing mineral deposits that could power the technologies of the future. These include rare earth elements, precious metals, and possibly oil and gas reserves. At the same time, its location in the Arctic makes it one of the most strategic territories on Earth. The island sits between major global regions, giving it importance not just economically, but militarily and politically. For the local population, this new attention brings both hope and fear. On one side, mining and investment could bring jobs, infrastructure, and economic independence. On the other side, rapid development could damage the fragile Arctic environment and traditional lifestyles. This chapter introduces the idea that Greenland is no longer just a frozen land at the edge of the world. It is becoming a place where the future of global energy, technology, and power competition may be decided. The question is no longer whether the world is interested in Greenland. The real question is how far that interest will go and what it will mean for the future of this unique land and its people. Deep beneath the frozen ground are minerals that modern industries cannot survive without. Rare earth elements are essential for smartphones, electric vehicles, wind turbines, and advanced defense systems. As global demand for clean energy increases, the need for these minerals grows rapidly. Currently, many industries depend on limited global supply chains, which creates risk. Countries want new sources to protect their economies and technologies. Greenland is believed to hold significant deposits of rare earth minerals, along with gold, copper, zinc, and iron ore. These resources could change global supply networks. However, extracting minerals in extreme Arctic conditions is extremely difficult and expensive. There are limited roads, ports, and energy systems. Mining companies must invest billions before production even begins. Environmental concerns also slow development. Arctic ecosystems are fragile, and mining accidents could cause long-term damage. Local communities worry about pollution and disruption to traditional hunting and fishing lifestyles. At the same time, global industries see these minerals as critical for the future. Renewable energy systems cannot expand without stable mineral supplies. Technology companies need these materials to build next-generation electronics. Defense industries rely on them for advanced weapons and communication systems. This creates global pressure to develop new mineral sources. Greenland stands at the center of this growing demand. If mining expands responsibly, it could transform the local economy. If done poorly, it could cause environmental and social damage. The mineral wealth under the ice is not just valuable, it is strategically important for the entire world. Major global powers are paying close attention to Arctic developments. The United States sees Arctic territories as essential for national security and global military monitoring. The region provides early warning systems, missile tracking, and defense positioning. At the same time, China views the Arctic as part of its long-term global trade and resource strategy. It wants access to minerals and new shipping routes that could shorten delivery times between Asia and Europe. Meanwhile, Russia already has strong Arctic military infrastructure and sees the region as critical for its national defense and economic expansion. The Arctic is no longer just about cold weather research. It is becoming a zone of economic opportunity and strategic competition. Each major power wants to ensure it is not left behind. This does not always mean direct control. Sometimes it means investment, trade agreements, or military partnerships. The competition is often quiet, happening through business deals and diplomatic agreements rather than open conflict. However, tensions can increase if multiple countries compete for the same resources or influence. Greenland's location makes it valuable to all these global strategies. It sits near key sea routes and monitoring zones. This means whoever has strong partnerships or presence in the region gains strategic advantages. The global interest in Greenland is not temporary. It is part of a long-term shift toward Arctic importance in global politics and economics. Although Greenland has its own government, it is still officially connected to Denmark. Over the years, Greenland has gained increasing self-rule and political independence in many areas. However, economic support still comes partly from Denmark. Over the years, Greenland has gained increasing self-rule and political independence in many areas. However, economic support still comes partly from Denmark. Many Greenland citizens want full independence, but the biggest challenge is building a strong, self-sustaining economy. Mineral development could help achieve that goal. However, full independence also brings risks. Running a country requires strong infrastructure, defense systems, healthcare, and economic stability. If Greenland becomes fully independent, it must build or pay for these systems itself. Some experts believe mineral wealth could make independence possible. Others worry that heavy reliance on mining could make the economy unstable if mineral prices fall. There's also concern about foreign influence. If large international companies or governments invest heavily in mining projects, they could gain political influence. Greenland must carefully balance economic growth with political independence. The independence discussion is deeply emotional and tied to identity, culture, and history. Many people want to protect their traditions and environment while still improving living standards. The political future of Greenland will likely depend on how resource development is managed. Independence may not come quickly, but the conversation is becoming stronger every year as global interest grows. The Arctic region is becoming increasingly important for global security. Organizations like NATO are paying closer attention to northern territories. Arctic regions offer strategic monitoring positions for missiles, aircraft, and naval activity. As ice melts, more military ships can travel through Arctic waters, increasing the importance of defense systems. Military planners see Arctic territories as future security zones. Radar stations, satellite tracking systems, and defense bases are becoming more important. These systems help detect threats early and protect national borders. Greenland's location makes it ideal for monitoring activities across large parts of the northern hemisphere. However, increased military interest can create tension. Some countries worry that expanding military presence could increase regional conflict risks. Others argue that strong defense presence is needed to maintain stability. Military strategy in the Arctic is not only about defense, it is also about controlling key sea routes and protecting resource extraction areas. If new shipping routes open due to melting ice, military protection may be required to secure trade. This makes Arctic territories even more valuable for global powers. Greenland's military importance is expected to grow in the coming decades as Arctic conditions change. Global companies and governments are exploring investment opportunities in Arctic mining, shipping, and infrastructure. The European Union is also interested in securing stable mineral supply chains for renewable energy technologies. Global demand for clean energy materials is expected to grow for decades. This creates strong financial interest in developing Arctic resources. However, investors face many challenges. Building infrastructure in Arctic conditions is extremely expensive. Ports, roads, and power systems must be built from scratch in many areas. Insurance costs are also high due to extreme weather risks. Local governments must decide how much foreign investment to allow. Too little investment could slow economic growth. Too much foreign control could reduce national independence. Greenland must create laws and policies that protect local interests while encouraging responsible investment. Economic development could improve healthcare, education, and transportation for local communities. However, sudden rapid development could also increase inequality and environmental risks. Balancing economic growth with social stability is one of the biggest challenges Greenland faces today. Climate change is the main reason why Greenland is becoming more globally important. Rising global temperatures are melting Arctic ice faster than scientists predicted decades ago. This is creating new opportunities, but also serious environmental risks. As ice melts, mineral deposits become easier to access. At the same time, new sea routes may open for global shipping. These routes could reduce shipping times between continents. However, climate change also threatens local ecosystems and wildlife. Many Arctic species depend on stable ice conditions. Melting ice also increases coastal erosion and affects fishing industries. For local communities, climate change is not just an environmental issue. It affects daily life, food supply, and housing stability. Scientists continue studying Arctic climate changes to predict future risks. Governments must balance economic opportunities with environmental protection. The Arctic is becoming one of the most important regions for understanding global climate patterns. What happens in Greenland affects weather, sea levels, and ecosystems around the world. Climate change is turning Greenland from a remote island into a global environmental and economic focus point. The future of Greenland will likely shape global politics, economics, and environmental policy. If managed carefully, mineral wealth could transform the local economy and improve living standards. However, if development happens too quickly, it could damage fragile ecosystems and create political tensions. The world is entering a new era where Arctic territories will play major roles in global power balance. Greenland stands at the center of this transformation. The choices made today will affect the region for generations. Will Greenland become a model for sustainable development or a symbol of resource competition? The answer depends on international cooperation, local leadership, and environmental responsibility. Global demand for minerals, energy, and shipping routes will continue growing. Greenland will remain an important part of that future. The world is watching closely. The story of Greenland is not just about one island. It is about how the future world will manage resources, climate challenges, and global competition. The next few decades will decide whether Greenland becomes a success story of responsible development or a warning about uncontrolled global competition. One thing is certain, the world will not ignore Greenland anymore. As we reach the end of this story, one thing becomes very clear. The future of the world may depend on places that many people once ignored. Greenland is no longer just a frozen island covered in ice and snow. It has become a symbol of the new global reality, where natural resources, climate change, and global power competition are deeply connected. Beneath its ice lies not just minerals, but opportunities, risks, and the potential to reshape global economics and security. Powerful nations are watching, companies are planning, and scientists are studying every change happening in the Arctic. But beyond politics and money, there is also the story of the people who live there. Their culture, their land, and their future. The biggest question is not who will gain power from Greenland, but how the world will choose to use what it finds there. Will it be used responsibly to support clean energy and global development? Or will it create new conflicts and environmental damage? The decisions made in the coming years will shape not only Greenland's future, but the future of the entire planet. Because sometimes, the most important places in the world are not the busiest cities or richest countries. Sometimes, they're the quiet lands where history is waiting to change.
Friends, this video was prepared for education and truly correcting information and knowledge. If you like this video, please follow and subscribe for our favorite comments.